A lot of us have heard the phrase that the clothes make the man. Well, as a certified personal stylist, I'm here to tell you that that is actually not true. In fact, clothes are neutral. They really can't make more or less of a person than who you are already. In fact, the power in a power suit is really the only power that we bring to it. Now, as business owners and as leaders, a lot of us know that the way that you dress and the way that you present yourself can also have an impact on the way an audience perceives or receives you. So, what's the balance? How do we find the line between where we need to worry about our image or where style comes into play? Now, there is a difference between fashion and image and style. And understanding the difference between those can actually help you tap into the power of your authentic style and leverage it for success in life. Fashion is about the creativity and the design and the construction of clothing. It's about what we wear. And image is about how we look. It's about appearances. And that can apply to creating a consistent brand. It applies to the color scheme, to the words and the energy that you use and bring to the image. And you can combine fashion and image and get so far and create really good appearances. But without style, you're missing substance. You see, style goes more than skin deep. It's about who you are and how you communicate that to the world. So, yes, you have a fashion style, but you also have a leadership style, a communication style, a parenting style. It's about who you are and how you show up in the world and how you bring your unique characteristics and strengths and weaknesses to the world. Style is long lasting, and that is the secret to success. It's a lesson that I learned the hard way. In fact, the power of personal style was a lesson that almost cost me my life. 6 years ago, I was laying in the middle of a claustrophobic MRI tube for the eighth time in a year. And as I lay there with the sound of a jackhammer beating against my head and tears streaming down my face, the only thing I could think was, what is going to happen to my kids? Earlier that year, 2 months after my son was born, it was like a neurological bomb went off in my head, and my body stopped functioning normally. And I went to numerous doctors, none of whom could figure out what was wrong with me. And I didn't know if I was going to live or die. So as I lay in that tube, I realized that I had missed a year of my kid's life, and I was watching my life pass me by and getting nowhere. So in that moment, I decided that no matter what my quality of life looked like, no matter how long I had left to live, I was done wasting it trying to live up to other people's rules, other people's expectations, and trying to people please. You see, in that moment, I also realized that my inner voice had been telling me for years that I was burning myself out doing things that didn't serve me. I was in a relationship that was draining my energy. I had reached a plateau in my career, which, even though I loved my job, I just had reached a point where I wasn't finding the fulfillment or the growth that I had found previously. And I was going through the motions without really feeling any progress in what I was doing. And what I had done is I just picked up life and got busier and busier to try to distract myself from all the signs and voices that were telling me that I needed to slow down and something needed to change, until life blew up and I had no other choice. So the day that I made the decision that I was going to live my life on my terms, when I got out of that tube and I put on real people clothes instead of paper gowns and fuzzy socks for the first time in a year, it was like a rite of passage. And for the first time in my life, the question I was asking myself had nothing to do with how I looked or what other people would think of me. In fact, I couldn't care less about those things. The only question in my mind that day was, how do I want to show up? And that day, I wanted to show up as a mom. So I pulled on my mom jeans, the ones that were baggy and saggy, and I used to hate because I thought they made me look fat. But that day I wore with pride because I was a mom and I was showing up as one. I put on my superhero t-shirt because even though I hurt and I still had symptoms, I felt like Wonder Woman because I was a super mom who was going to take my kids to play for the first time in a year. And I put on my old broken in tennis shoes and went to the park. And even though I needed to lay down on the park bench because of my symptoms, and people looked at me like I was crazy, I didn't care because I was showing up for myself, I was showing up for my kids, and I was showing up for life. And that is the true power of style. You see, clothes don't make the man or woman, they reflect who we are. And when we use our personal style to reflect our intention, when we use our style to reflect who we are and to support ourselves and empower ourselves to show up more fully and more authentically in life, that is the lasting and true power of style. So today I want to share with you 3 styling secrets from a personal stylist that can help you leverage your success in 2024. The first secret is to look for lasting style versus chasing trends. In fashion and in life, there are always new fads or new trends that will come and go. Some of those trends can be flashy and fun. Some of them, if you're like me and lived through the 80s, can be a recipe for fashion disaster. Right? Not all fads, not all trends are meant to fit every body or every person. We talked about this on the social media summit a little while ago, that a lot of business owners might try to follow a trend, especially in times of economic challenge when there's recessions and we're trying to get traction and trying to get business in a noisy crowd. It can be really easy to want to follow a trend. But when we do that, we become imitators rather than innovators in our own lives. And to really find lasting style, we need to actually tune down the voice, the external voices and the external noise, and tune out the distractions from the flashy trends and the flashy fads, and tune up the volume on your inner voice. It's that voice that will tell you what inspires you, what empowers you, and what drives you. And as you listen to that voice, which again, I learned the hard way, that tells you that something might be off or out of alignment in your life, when you get that aligned with who you really are, and you define your signature soul style based on what is true and authentic for you, that is when you'll begin to stand out from the crowd and live loud from the inside out. The second styling tip that can help you develop your signature soul style and succeed in life is to dress your archetypes. When I was getting certified as a stylist, one of the first concepts that they taught us is that when you get a new client, you want to create an archetype for them, which is like creating a character or a persona, and dress that. Well, I've been introduced to archetypes as an English major. I spent 7 years of my life analyzing archetypal characters and archetypal patterns and drawing meaning from them. And later in life, when I was going through my dark night of the soul and getting in touch with who I was and getting authentically aligned for myself, I found the work of Carl Jung and Carolyn Meese, which talked about the archetypes that live and reside inside of us. You see, your life is like a reality show. There's a cast of characters that make you you, and different experiences, different situations, and different things that we encounter in life will bring out different aspects of your personality. Some of those characters are fun and playful, some may be more serious. Some are the kinds that we want to hide and not let other people see, those shadow parts of ourselves. But you see, the real trick to finding your signature style isn't about creating a character. In fact, talking about burnout, I found out that that's what a lot of my clients have experienced. Anytime they go into a boardroom or when they go into a relationship, when they go on a date, they're constantly trying to change themselves based on what they think other people want. It's like putting on a new character or creating a new character, and keeping track of that can be incredibly exhausting. The secret is to show up as fully and authentically as you can in any situation. And that requires knowing who you are. It's not about creating archetypes, it's about knowing your archetypes. And as you get to identify those different aspects of your personality, you'll find that you're drawn to different colors and patterns, fabrics and styles when talking about your fashion style that will respond to and empower those different parts of your personality. As you get to know who you are, when you understand your light and shadow side, when you understand why you show up and how you show up in the world, you can use that knowledge to take conscious action in bringing the best of yourself to life. That's where the law of attraction kicks in. That's where the law of manifestation kicks in. And that's when you'll start to see huge leverage in your success. And that leads us to the third secret. And that's the secret that I learned coming out of that MRI tube. In fact, it was such a subtle change that I didn't notice it at first. But when I realized that I had finally become free of worrying about other people's opinions and worrying about their judgments and trying to please others, I really took a hard look at what had changed. And it was one simple question. In fact, most of us start our day when we get dressed. It's a mundane, routine task that we do every day. And people usually approach it in one of two ways. Either they don't pay much attention and they go through the motions and get dressed out of habit based on what they've already done, or they overthink it and overanalyze it based on what they think other people will think. Both of those can be an incredible waste of time and energy and might miss one of the most powerful parts of your day. When you change the question from how do I look, which is one of the most disempowering questions you can ask yourself in the morning, to how do I want to show up, you can turn the act of getting dressed from a mundane routine to a spiritual practice that allows you in seconds to connect with who you are, to get in touch with those core aspects of your personality, and to live your life with conscious intention. Looking at the aspects of what you're going to go throughout the day, you can channel the most powerful parts of yourself and live with conscious intention, which will astronomically change your life and bring you greater success in all that you do. You see, the real secret to bringing your style to your business, to your life, and to your relationships is to know yourself, to trust that inner voice that is accurate 99% of the time. It will guide you on your right path. It will tell you when something's out of alignment in any area of your life. And the quicker you get that aligned, the more you will experience the peace and the confidence and the power and the passion to live your life that only you are meant to live. You see, this life is not a one-size-fits-all experience. No one on this earth was born with your exact soul DNA, your exact personality, your physical DNA, and was placed in the life circumstances that you are in. And because of that, you have a way of seeing the world that is unique to you. That is your it factor. That's your internal truth. And when you live your truth and live your signature life, you will be set up for success in 2024.